For anyone listening right now who leads a marketing or a growth team, or maybe you run in-house strategy, I want you to picture a scenario that is probably painfully familiar to you.
Oh, I think I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah, you probably do. So you sit down for your quarterly planning meeting, right? The goal is growth, obviously.
Right.
So you open up a keyword volume tool, you type in some phrase related to your industry, and you see this big number, thousands of searches. And immediately the directive becomes clear. You say, let's write a bunch of articles with that word in it. Let's just shout it as loudly as we can.
Yet the classic volume play.
Exactly. I mean, we have treated internet discoverability like this simple matching game for the last decade. But looking at the stack of sources we are diving into today, that entire playbook is officially dead.
It's entirely obsolete at this point. The mechanisms of discoverability have fundamentally changed, and yet so many businesses are still operating like it's, 2015.
And that is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We're looking at a comprehensive strategic report on a platform called Topic Modeler. And we're pairing that with market research on the current search landscape, plus a ton of data detailing this massive shift from traditional SEO, search engine optimization, to GEO, Generative Engine Optimization.
Which is a huge paradigm shift.
Right. We're going to explore how you can actually map your company's entire content space to ensure you are discoverable in this new era of AI answer engines. Because it is a completely different ballgame now.
The stakes here are incredibly high because discovery is no longer happening through, a list of 10 blue links.
Yeah, nobody's scrolling through page 2 of search results anymore.
Exactly. It's happening via AI-powered answer engines that synthesize the information for you. And the companies that understand how to architect their data for these engines, well, they're going to capture the market while everyone else essentially just becomes invisible.
So let's start with why this transition to GEO is causing so much chaos for modern teams. Because reading through this research, it really feels like companies are completely lost in their own content libraries.
Oh, completely. It's a huge blind spot.
When your entire strategy is based on looking outward, like looking at what random people are typing into a search bar, you lose sight of your own internal reality.
Right.
Teams don't know where they hold defensible authority, they don't know where their messaging is weak, and they honestly don't realize when they've become entirely indistinguishable from their competitors.
And that indistinguishability is the core crisis here. I mean, it stems from a basic misunderstanding of how AI models process information compared to those traditional search algorithms.
Because the old algorithms were basically just matching text, right?
Yes, exactly. Traditional search algorithms were essentially string matching engines. If a user types the characters for, say, enterprise software, the engine just scanned the internet for web pages containing that exact string of characters.
And if you stuffed that phrase onto your page 20 times, you won.
Right, you gamed the system, but the new AI engines don't read like that.
Right, I want to break down how they actually read, because this is where the underlying logic totally shifts. I was reading about how AI uses these mathematical embeddings.
Yes, embeddings are the key here.
And the easiest way I can conceptualize this is to think about a massive multidimensional library. Traditional search just alphabetized everything, right? But embeddings turn concepts into coordinates on a map.
That's a great way to put it.
So the AI knows that the concept of a dog is physically located near the concept of a puppy, even if the actual letters don't match at all. It understands the context and the relationships between the ideas, not just the raw text.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. Embeddings map the spatial relationship of meaning. So if an AI engine is looking for the best answer to a complex B2B question, it isn't scanning for keyword density.
Because it doesn't care how many times you said the word.
Exactly. It's looking for structured relationships and business meaning. It wants to see how your entities connect.
Meaning what exactly?
Well, if your company's content is just a loose, unstructured collection of blog posts, maybe some written for SEO, some written by product managers, some by PR, the AI engine simply cannot map your expertise.
It's just a mess of data.
Right. It looks at your digital footprint and it literally cannot determine the core truth of what you do.
Which brings us to what Topic Modeler actually helps companies do. To put it in plain language, it's a unified content architecture platform.
Yes.
And the central thesis of this platform is that before you publish another word, you have to build a ground truth for your business. You have to build a multi-dimensional knowledge graph.
And we really should clarify what a knowledge graph actually is in this context, because,
Yeah.
I mean, that term gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Let me take a stab at this.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an executive listening to this, I might hear knowledge graph and think, oh, that's just a fancy consulting phrase for an Excel spreadsheet of my target keywords.
Right. People always default to the spreadsheet mentality.
But it's fundamentally different. A spreadsheet is flat. It's just a one-dimensional list sorted by search volume.
Exactly.
But a multi-dimensional knowledge graph is an ontology. It's like a living rule book that tells the AI exactly how the different parts of your business actually interact with each other. It is a mathematical digital twin of your organization.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a digital twin. And Topic Modeler maps this twin across 3 distinct dimensions based on crawling the real content on your website and then augmenting that data with AI clustering.
Let's unpack those 3 dimensions because I think the relationship between them is where the actual magic happens here. The first dimension they map is the problem knowledge graph. Right?
Yep, the problem graph.
So this is the language of your buyer. This is the fire they're actively trying to put out. So for a tech company, the problem graph might map concepts like, my server is constantly crashing during peak traffic.
Precisely. And then building on that, you have the second dimension, which is the capability knowledge graph.
Okay, so that's what the company can actually do.
Right. This maps the technical methods, the specific approaches, and the unique expertise your business possesses. This is the how you do it dimension.
Got it.
So to use your example, your capability graph might map a concept like automated distributed load balancing.
Okay, and then the third dimension is the application or solution knowledge graph. And this is the concrete commercial reality.
Yes, what
Yeah.
you're actually selling.
Right, the specific products or services. This is your enterprise cloud shield software or whatever you call it.
Yeah, look at what happens when you connect those 3 dimensions together. Your ontology tells the AI, our enterprise cloud shield product exists because we possess the capability of automated distributed load balancing, which directly solves the customer problem of servers crashing during peak traffic.
Oh, wow. So you are giving the AI the exact spatial map of your business logic.
Exactly. You're handing it the logic on a silver platter.
I see the power in that.
Yeah.
But I do want to push back on the AI clustering aspect for a second. Let's say Topic Modeler's AI crawls my massive corporate website, thousands of pages, and it tries to build this 3-dimensional map.
Yeah.
What if the AI gets it wrong?
Which happens with AI, absolutely.
Right. Like, what if it clusters cloud security and on-premise security together, but my entire business model is based on abandoning on-premise solutions entirely?
And that is a critical vulnerability if you're relying purely on automation, which is exactly why Topic Modeler incorporates human approval gates.
Oh, okay. So a human is actually reviewing this.
Yes. The AI does the heavy lifting of processing all those thousands of pages and identifying the mathematical clusters. It builds the initial map. But then a human strategist comes in and reviews it.
So if it makes that mistake with cloud and on-premise,
If the AI groups cloud and on-premise together, the human just clicks a button to sever that connection. They're telling the model, no, our unique differentiator is exclusively cloud.
okay, so the human validates the reality, and the mathematical model instantly updates its coordinates. You are literally training the algorithm on your specific business truth.
Exactly. And that verified truth is what allows you to map your entire content space, identify these massive gaps in your messaging, and ensure every single piece of content directly serves your overarching positioning.
That makes total sense. Now let's compare that architectural approach to what the rest of the market is doing.
Right.
Because looking at the research on the common solutions out there, the standard subscription tools most marketing teams rely on today, there is a staggering divide between being proactive and being reactive.
And night and day, the report classifies a lot of the current market as, well, Tier 2 tools.
Right, and the methodology of those Tier 2 tools is entirely reactive, isn't it?
Completely reactive. Let's just walk through the standard workflow for a second. A marketing manager puts a target keyword, say supply chain logistics, into one of these tools.
Okay.
The tool scans the top 10 search results currently ranking on Google. It analyzes them and reports back. It says, hey, the pages ranking for this topic use the word efficiency 12 times. They have exactly 1,500 words, and they include 3 H2 headers.
And then it just tells the writer to mimic that exact structure.
That is exactly what it does.
But if we follow the logical implication of that, if every company uses those exact same tools and everyone is instructed to mimic the top 10 results, then mathematically, every single company ends up sounding identical.
Yes, you just create this.
You create a beige smoothie of content. You are literally just averaging out the market.
A beige smoothie, yes. It's a race to the middle. You are letting whatever competitor happens to be ranking today dictate your internal business messaging.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. You are highly reactive to public noise instead of being anchored to your own actual capabilities.
I look at it this way. Using an AI tool to write a blog post quickly, or using a dashboard to track keyword ranking fluctuations that is entirely table stakes now.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone has access to that.
It provides zero competitive advantage.
None. True market differentiation in this new GEO era comes from actionable prioritization. It comes from optimizing your content against your own private knowledge graph rather than the public noise. You optimize for your truth.
Okay, so we have this beautiful multi-dimensional rule book. We have mapped our problems, our capabilities, and our solutions.
Yes.
But a map sitting on my local hard drive doesn't help an AI crawler actually find me. How do we hand this map over to the generative engines? Because, B2B companies are notorious for having great strategies that IT can never actually implement.
Right, the classic implementation gap. That's where Topic Modeler transitions from a strategy tool to a deployable asset.
Okay, how so?
Well, once the knowledge graph is validated by your team, the platform generates specific files that you actually place directly on your website server, most notably JSON-LD schema files and an lms.txt file.
Okay, I am familiar with JSON-LD. That's the structured data we've used for years to help traditional search engines understand what a web page is about.
Yeah.
But the lms.txt file, that is fascinating. I want to spend a minute here because this feels like the linchpin of the whole operation.
It absolutely is the linchpin. The lms.txt file is a relatively new, rapidly adopting standard. And it's designed explicitly for AI crawlers from the major tech companies like Anthropic and OpenAI.
The analogy that comes to mind here is a concert venue.
Okay, let's hear it.
So traditional SEO is like making the AI stand in the general admission line, right? It walks through the front doors of your homepage, and it has to wander around the whole stadium to figure out who the band is, what kind of music they play, and where the bathrooms are.
I love this, yeah.
But an lms.txt file is like handing the AI crawler a VIP backstage pass and a detailed itinerary the second it arrives.
That perfectly captures the dynamic. It really does. The file itself is written in Markdown format, which means it's incredibly lightweight.
So no heavy code.
Exactly. It's stripped of all that heavy HTML bloat. The massive images, the tracking scripts, the pop-ups. It is pure, structured information tailored specifically for a large language model's context window.
Oh, wow.
It just sits there on your server, and when the AI crawler arrives, it actively looks for and reads this file first.
So instead of hoping ChatGPT reads your About Us page and correctly infers your expertise, you are directly feeding it the verified digital twin we just talked about.
Exactly.
You're saying, here are our core concepts, here is our capability graph, here are the problems we solve. You remove the guesswork entirely.
You hand the AI the exact structured data it craves. And because you built that data on a rigorously validated knowledge graph, you establish immediate, undeniable authority in the AI's mathematical model.
Okay, so we have the foundation built, and we have the VIP backstage pass deployed to the servers. Now, the marketing team actually has to sit down and write things.
Right, the actual work.
How do we prioritize what to create? Because the reality of any growth team is feature overload. There are a million topics we could cover.
And this is where the research highlights a massive shift in workflow. Because traditionally, you just look at a keyword volume tool to decide what to write.
Right. High volume equals let's write it.
Exactly. But Topic Modeler uses an 8-dimension decision tree to sequence content creation.
Let's explore the mechanics of that 8-dimension tree. Because if you skip this step, you might end up writing, I don't know, a highly technical architectural teardown for a CEO who barely understands the jargon. You completely miss the mark.
Exactly. The decision tree forces you to evaluate every single topic idea through multiple strategic lenses before you ever look at search volume.
Okay, so what are some of these dimensions?
First, it looks at audience. Are we targeting a technical practitioner who wants to see code snippets? Or are we targeting a strategic decision maker who needs to understand the commercial ROI?
Well, that immediately changes the vocabulary of the piece.
Drastically. Then it evaluates framing. Is this a problem-first piece designed to agitate a pain point? Or is it a solution-first piece designed for someone who is already ready to buy?
I got it.
It also evaluates your funnel position, your brand angle, and how the topic aligns with your verified capabilities. You run your ideas through this business architecture first.
And then you look at keywords.
Yes. Only after a topic passes those strategic gates do you cross-reference it with keyword data to validate the market demand.
I love that. The business strategy dictates the content, and the data just validates the demand.
Exactly.
It flips the old SEO model entirely upside down, which means there are probably certain things teams need to aggressively ignore now.
Oh, for sure. To succeed here, teams really need to defer obsessing over real-time content editors and keyword grading tools until their overall architecture is solid.
Oh, I think we all know the tools you were talking about. You write a blog post, and a little widget on the side of the screen gives you a C+.
Yep, the grading widgets.
And it stays a C+ until you force the word synergy into the text 5 more times, and then suddenly it turns green and gives you an A+.
Right, it's an illusion of progress. Optimizing a piece of content that fundamentally does not fit into your multidimensional knowledge graph is just wasted effort.
It doesn't matter how well optimized a page is if the AI engine doesn't understand how that page connects to your core business truth.
Exactly. Build the architecture first. Everything else comes second.
Let's bring this to the commercial reality for the executive listener. We've talked deeply about ontologies and embeddings and markdown files. But how does this content architecture approach actually drive revenue?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. How does it help a company spot opportunities that their competitors are just completely blind to?
It drives commercial growth through a concept called the content space expander.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Because you have a structured map of your business, you can overlay your existing content against predefined buckets of business meaning. The research actually identifies 19 specific buckets that highly sophisticated buyers care about.
Wait, what are we talking about when we say buckets?
We're talking about the specific angles a buying committee needs answered before they're ever going to sign a contract.
Right.
Things like regulatory considerations or life cycle stages, technical depth tiers, or even just foundational explainers.
Okay, here is the implication of that, and this is where the blind spots of traditional tools become just glaringly obvious to me.
Go ahead.
Let's say you are selling enterprise fintech software, right? Your knowledge graph overlay might reveal that you have fantastic coverage in the foundational explainers bucket.
You've got all the basics covered.
Right, you have a dozen articles explaining what your software does, but the overlay reveals your regulatory considerations bucket is completely empty.
Yes. And a standard keyword volume tool would likely never flag that gap.
Why not?
Because the search volume for a highly specific, niche regulatory compliance term might be incredibly low, maybe 20 searches a month. The traditional tool tells you to ignore it entirely. It says it's not worth your time.
But the chief compliance officer at a Fortune 500 company who holds veto power over a $2 million software deal, they absolutely care about that regulatory term.
Exactly. They are the ones doing those 20 searches.
By proactively filling that gap based on your knowledge graph, you are answering the complex questions that actually close enterprise deals, rather than just chasing high-volume clicks from college students who are never going to buy your product anyway.
That is the essence of building long-term category authority. You are making better, faster content investment decisions. You drastically reduce waste because you aren't guessing what to write or blindly following competitor averages.
And think about the internal alignment, too. I mean, I have seen marketing teams, sales teams, and executive leadership argue for months over what topics the company should quote-unquote own.
Oh, the internal turf wars over messaging. It's endless.
But when you have mathematically mapped out your problem, capability, and solution graphs, there is no more debate. Everyone operates from the exact same ground truth.
You are creating perfect alignment between what your company actually knows internally, what it actively sells, and what it publishes to the world. It shifts content from being this reactive cost center to being a structured, appreciating commercial asset.
So, to synthesize everything we have covered from these sources, the landscape has irrevocably moved. We no longer live in a world of keyword density. We live in a world of entity alignment.
That's the perfect way to summarize it.
To win in this new era of generative engine optimization, you cannot just be a content optimizer playing a string matching game. You have to become a content architect. You have to hand the AI the structural blueprint of your reality.
Because the technology is forcing businesses to be incredibly precise about who they are and the specific problems they solve. If you cannot define your own architecture, the AI certainly will not do it for you.
Take a hard look at your own website today. Are you just committing random acts of content publishing hoping to win a keyword lottery? Or are you building a mathematical digital twin of your expertise that an AI crawler can instantly ingest and understand?
It really is time to stop optimizing and start architecting. The businesses that define that architecture today are the ones that will become the default, undisputed answers tomorrow.
And I want to leave you with a completely new thought to mull over, building on everything we've just discussed about handing the AI this perfect VIP backstage pass. Let's fast forward 3 years.
Okay, let's look ahead.
Imagine a scenario where every major player in your industry has finally caught on. Every company has uploaded a perfect LLMs.txt file. Every company has a flawless multidimensional knowledge graph mapping their capabilities to customer problems.
So a totally level playing field from a technical standpoint.
Exactly. When the AI has perfect structured clarity from everyone, how does it decide who wins the top recommendation? If the technical architecture is a tie, does brand reputation and actual human trust become the absolute only ranking factor left? Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.